Good morning. Thank you for joining me, Angela Taylor, here on Learning Life. Because we are normally here. All right. So, again, good morning, and thank you for joining me, Angela Taylor, on Learning Life, Becoming Better. We are normally here each Saturday morning, beginning at 8 a.m. on both YouTube Live and on Facebook Live. And we are here to learn more about life and live this life better than yesterday, better than last year, better than we lived it 10 years ago. We want to grow, we want to improve, we want to be the best that we can be. Whatever that means, that's that's what we want to do. We want to become better people. We want to be better at being us. I want to be better at being me and all that God has called me to be. And hopefully, prayerfully, you want to be better at being you and all that God has called you to be. So, the only way we can do that is by looking at the truth. Sometimes we don't like to look at the truth because we don't like change. And unfortunately, or fortunately, change is required for us to grow. We cannot become anything without a change. We cannot become anything different, whether it's better or worse, without a change going on. So that change is necessary, but it has to be a change for the good. It has to be a change that improves us. It has to be a change that moves us forward and not backwards. It has to be a change that is meaningful. And so that's why we go to the truth of the word. That's why we go not to the news. We're not going to the philosophers. We're not going to the scientists. We're not going to the doctors, the lawyers. We're not going to people at all in order for us to do better on this program. We are going to the one place where there is always truth and no opinion thrown in, and that is the Bible, where it is all truth. All of the Bible is given by the Spirit of God. He used different people to write the different books, and so some of their personality shows up in what's written, but He's allowed it. And so everything that God has allowed is for our good. Everything that God has had these people write down has been inspired by His Spirit. So let's go to that truth. Everything else is up for discussion. All those other sources, there's a whole lot of discussion that can be done there. But with as to whether it's true or not. With the Bible, there's a lot of discussion, but the bottom line, the underlying part of what we're discussing is the fact that everything in there is true. Everything that God tells us is true. He's not a man that he could lie to us. So the other day I was talking to a friend of mine, and um, it just kind of, I'm not gonna say it just kind of hit me. Lord just kind of told me, today's title is "You Don't Know Me Like That." You don't know me like that. Um, we have friends from different phases of our lives. We have friends that we have known for a long time, and we have friends that we, maybe made more recently. And I was talking to a friend that had known me for a long time, but don't you know that you can know someone for a lifetime and still not know everything about them? Case in point, you that still surprise you. There are things that you do that are still out of what you would perceive or what you would describe as your own character. There are things that you do or say that you are very familiar with, but there are once in a while, there's maybe once in a long while, because some of you are very, very close to creatures of habit. But once in a while, there's something that you do or something that crosses your mind that surprises you. So that's you knowing you. That's you knowing you. Now, so there's no way you know somebody else better than you know yourself. So I said something to my friend, and she was like, "I didn't know that about you," and it got me to thinking. You know what? We always say that God is the same yesterday, today, and forevermore. I was looking at one of my old sermons. I was transferring from video to another media, and I looked at one of my old sermons from about 3 years ago. And in that sermon, I said, God is the same today, yesterday, and forevermore. And I'm not changing it. That's the truth. That's what the Bible tells us. God is the same yesterday, today, and forevermore. What we don't include in that is that God has been versatile from the beginning of time. God has been flexible. God has been creative. He's called the creator. So yesterday, God was creative, flexible, and um, I wish I could. I know there's a better word, but I'm just gonna say deep. That's what God was yesterday. Today, God is just as versatile. He is just as flexible. He as he is just as deep as he was yesterday. And tomorrow, he will be just as versatile, just as flexible, and just as deep as he is today. So when we say that God is the same yesterday, today, and forevermore, that doesn't mean that God is just one way. That doesn't mean that God's character is predictable. That doesn't mean because there are some things that God reveals to us about his character, that doesn't mean that we know all there is to know about him and to know how he operates. Now, one thing we know is he operates out of love. But what that looks like, that's different for many of us. That's different for each of us. We know that God has everlasting mercy. But the degree of that mercy and how that mercy is given um, and when that mercy is given, we can't predict that. So let me go to scripture here. We are in John chapter 5. John chapter 5. And you can get your Bible, your book Bible, your phone, your device, whatever you have, they have. I always read from the King James Version. That might change. John chapter 5. First, we start with verse 2. Now there is at Jerusalem by the sheep market a pool, which is called in the Hebrew tongue Bethesda, having 5 porches. In these lay a great multitude of impotent folk. That means not important, but impotent. That means they lacked something significant. They could not perform something. So, and that goes on to say, of blind, halt, means they couldn't walk, or they were crippled, withered, waiting for the moving of the water. So let me, because I threw in those explanations. Verse 3, John chapter 5. In these 5 porches at this pool called Bethesda, in these lay a great multitude of impotent folk, of blind, haltered, withered, waiting for the move of the water. Verse 4, for an angel went down at a certain season into the pool and troubled the water. Whosoever then first after the troubling of the water stepped in was made whole of whatsoever disease he had. And a certain man was there which had an infirmity 38 years. And you know what? I just caught that. It said whatsoever disease he had. But they're talking about blind people. And we don't think about blindness as a disease. They're talking about crippled people. And we don't think about crippled people as having a disease. We're gonna have to we're gonna have to look at that a little more closely. Why don't you do that? And I'll do that. And we can find out together. We can examine why blindness would be called a disease. And a certain man was there, but that's not the point of today's lesson. And a certain man was there which had an infirmity 38 years. So 38 years this man had his problem. When Jesus saw him lie and knew that he had been now a long time in that case. Now Jesus is not even 38 years old, but he somehow knew that the man had been in that case, had that infirmity for a long time. Jesus said unto him, wilt thou be made whole? The impotent man answered him, Sir, I have no man when the water is troubled to put me into the pool. But while I am coming, another steppeth down before me. Jesus saith unto him, Rise, take up thy bed, and walk. And immediately the man was made whole, and took up his bed and walked. And on the same day was the Sabbath. We're going to stop there. So this impotent man, we always think he's crippled because he says he needed somebody to put him in the pool. I don't know if what it is. It says the impotent man answered him, Sir, I have no man when the water is troubled to put me in a pool. And Jesus comes by and says, Rise, take up thy bed and walk. So again, the title of this lesson is You Don't Know Me. This man, along with all these other people, were used to going to the pool of Bethesda and seeing God work there, seeing God's healing, seeing God's deliverance, seeing God work by having his angel trouble the water. Because that's what they said would happen. Sir, did I skip a part? So, yes, I didn't. So in verse 3, in these lay a great multitude of impotent folk, of blind, halt, withered, waiting for the moving of the water. Verse 4, for an angel went down, oh no, I didn't skip that part. For an angel went down at a certain season into the pool and troubled the water. So an angel went down at a certain season. Everyone knew when it was coming. So at this point in time, on this day, an angel will come down, stir up the pool, and whoever the first person was in to the water was made whole of whatever disease he had. And since we're going to have to expand, some of us, maybe just me, we're going to have to expand our mind into thinking about disease, into basically whatever problem, whatever difficulty that was attacking them, that was preventing them, blindness, haltness, withered. So whatever it was, whatever their deficiency was, the first person that stepped into the pool would be healed. And so this man who had this infirmity for 38 years had been coming to the pool. And he said, every time I come, the water is troubled. Same time, same date. I'm here. I'm here. I'm here to meet God. I'm here. Somebody else gets in the pool before me because I need somebody to help me get in the pool. So apparently he couldn't move into the pool on his own. Now, that's not the point of today's lesson. The point of today's lesson is even though God had been doing it that way for however long, here's Jesus stepping up on the scene. And Jesus changes. I'm not even going to say he changed. I was going to say that he changes the way it's done. He doesn't change the way it's done. He didn't change the way it was done because the angel was still there to stir up the pool. And somebody was still going to be healed of whatever infirmity they had. Jesus added to. That's the point. Jesus added to what they were used to seeing. That's what Jesus is. Jesus is an addition. He is not necessarily a game changer because the game is God's and it's always been God the Father. And Jesus has always been right there in the game with them. This game called Let's Make Life Better. This game of let's create some wonderful and awesome people that will live wonderful and awesome lives and serve me and glorify me and praise me because that's what I created them to do. So Jesus is an addition at a certain point in time. Now God has already had this angel come down and stir up the pool. It's not that the angel didn't show up. It's not that somebody didn't get delivered. It's that God doesn't have to do anything the same way you've seen it done before. He doesn't. God doesn't have to do anything the same way you've seen him do it in the past. You don't know him like that. You don't know God like that where you can predict how and when and where and who he's going to deliver. You don't know God. We don't know God like that. We don't. Jesus didn't come on the scene and change what God was doing because then that means that God changed and God didn't. God never changes. God never changes. But God has from the beginning been versatile. Versatile. God has from the beginning been a creator. That's why he gave Genesis to Moses to write. In the beginning, God was a creator. So why he has created everything we have seen. And in John chapter 1, it says there was nothing that has been made that was not made without Him. So why is it? I know why it is, because we're creatures of habit. But we have to stop looking at God through just our lens. And I know it's a personal relationship between us and God, but sometimes we limit the way we think of God, limit that relationship. It's not God that limits, it's the way we think of God limits that relationship. It limits our hope, it limits our faith because we don't look to God for the things we should look to God for. We keep thinking, well, God bless them with a house that didn't have a mortgage on it. So he's going to bless me with a house that doesn't have a mortgage on it. Well, that's not necessarily true. He could have blessed everybody that way. What will? He could have blessed somebody that way every year for 50 years. On February 2nd, everybody who does this one certain thing is blessed with the house with no mortgage on it. But that doesn't mean that's the only way God has to operate. And we forget that. We forget. One thing that this truth shows us is that God's ways are not our ways. And his thinking is so far above what we think that he just has to show us. He just has to show us from time to time. You got to switch up your thinking because you don't when somebody shows you something different about themselves, you say, oh, you say what my friend said. I didn't know that about you. We don't know everything. You may be very well versed in the Bible and you may be walking extremely close to God, but you still don't know everything about God. You don't know all the different ways that he operates. And so then what that does for me, I don't know what it does for you, but what it does for me is it tells me that there is never a situation where I can lose hope in. There is never a situation where I can say, well, that's a done deal. Never. I can always have hope in God. Not that he'll do something the way I want him to do it, but that he's able. He's able. He's able. So I would challenge today's challenge. Today's challenge is a continuous challenge. And it is to try to change up, try to open our minds a little bit more, try to open our hearts a little bit more so that our perceptions of God are not so rigid that we don't see God in everything. That our perceptions are our reality, quite truthfully. Here it is. We're in John chapter 5. We read verses 2 through 9. Here it is. God had been doing this at the pool of Bethesda. He had been sending his angel down. And the Bible does it say it stopped after this. So it wasn't a new way, it was an addition. So God can still bless everybody with a house that's already paid off with no mortgage on February 3rd every year through one way. But I can look for my miracle, my financial miracle, another way. Or I can just go ahead and say, any way you want, Lord. And a lot of us say that, but then through our minds, and that's why I'm focusing on. We say any way you want, Lord, and then we try to think of the different ways that God can do it. Yes, we do. Come on now, be for real. So what I want us to do, what I'm challenging us to do is to expand our understanding, our perception, our thinking, our hoping of what God can do, because He's a creative God. Nobody told him how big the ocean should be. Nobody told him how many grains of sand there should be. Nobody told him. He has created everything you see, hear, and taste. He has created all the varieties of animal, of vegetation. Scientists may discover a new one. They may be new to us, but God has already created them all. All things that are now extinct, God has created from the beginning. So remember, He is a creator. A certain man was there which had an infirmity. This man had the infirmity 38 years, and Jesus saw him. All we need to do is have Jesus see us. And the compassion, the love, the mercy, the grace of God coming through Jesus, whichever way He wants to have it come through, is ours. It's ours. All we have to do is see Jesus. All we have to do is believe on Him. Believe on Him. Don't believe on Him that He'll do it the same way. Because although He is the same God, He's always been a God of variety. A God of variety. Y'all keep fighting because people are a different color than you. You keep fighting because people are a different gender than you. God created it all. I don't know why you want bland when God has created beautiful out of His variety. Now, if He does it with color, don't you know that He does it with everything? That creativity. God is not just an artist who sculpts. He's an artist that paints. He's an artist in music. He's an artist in technology. He's an artist in finances. He's an artist. He's a creator. But he's not an artist in just one area. He's an artist in everything. And so that's the God that stays the same. He was an artist yesterday, he's an artist today, and he's an artist forevermore. He's the artist that forms us out of the dust. He's the artist that works with us as clay. He's the artist that can add to and take from and get a little bit of this and a little bit of that and take something from nothing to excellent. I want to go from nothing to excellent. Living, learning life, becoming better, learning more about God. They used to say, don't put God in a box, but thinking, our thinking restricts us. It doesn't restrict him because the man and everybody else thought, the man at this pool and everyone else thought, and they thought truthfully. And it is God working that way by sending his angel down and stirring up the waters in the pool. When Jesus came, it's not like, oh, that's not God. The other thing is not God. No, that's God too. That's what I may not be articulating this as I think it and as it was given to me, and Lord forgive me, because it's a message that God wants for each of us to have. And the message is that he is a creative God. He is the same, but what he does in your life may not be something that you have seen before. It may not be something that you have heard of before, but it's still God. You may have never heard of anybody having the difficulty you're having and still overcoming and still still reaching the dreams that you have. But God is able to do above all that we ask or think. He's greater than our imagination. So I just want us to open up. I just want to challenge us to open up the way we think and open up the way we do things and open up the way we look at people and open up the way we look at our situation and to be able to see God moving in all of it. See the hand of God. See the hand of God. Because you don't know me like that. You didn't know some things I've said in the past. You don't know some things I've done in the past. You don't know some things I've felt in the past because you don't know me like that. But the more you get to know someone, the more you know how they operate. The more you get to know God, the more you know how he operates. And then you'll figure out that God doesn't operate the way we do. He has his imagination at his hand. He has him. He has him. In all of him. God is so much more. He's so much more. He's so much more. And when he does it for us and we say, oh, don't change. Don't say God changed. What has to change is the way we think of God. And that's for everyone. That's for the sinner and the saint and the one that's on the fence that needs to get off the fence. That's for the backslider. That's for the unbeliever. We need to know. We need to understand that God doesn't change, but we don't know him. We don't know him to predict what he will and what he won't do. We know what he's revealed to us, but we don't know how, when, where. We don't even know the why. Not to the full extent because we don't know him like that. So the challenge is to grow in our knowledge of God. To grow in our knowledge of God. And as long as you live with somebody, you will never know them fully. So as long as you walk with God, you will never fully know him. But he will reveal more to you each day about Him and about you so that you can learn more about God and therefore learn more about you. But as my Father can do it, it's in the genes, it's in the genes, it's in the DNA. If my Father can do it, the more you learn about God, the more you learn about yourself. The more you learn about yourself, the better you can become. Open your mind, look to God, not to do it the same way. Now, He could, but look to God to be in everything and to be in everything, working for your good. Jesus asked a man, will you be made whole? And the man gave him a reason why he couldn't get in the pool. And Jesus said, there's more than one way for you to be made whole. There's more than one way for your loneliness to be cured. Yes, it is. There's more than one way for your financial need to be met. There's more than one way for your heart to be healed. There's more than one way for your body to be healed. There's more than one way for your soul to be delivered. Yes, there's one way to God, and that's Jesus. But how He delivers you, there's more than one way that God can deliver you. It can be through, I'm not even going to go through all the different ways. There's more than one way. There's more than 5 ways. There are more than 10 ways. But all ways are in God. They're all in Him, which is why I keep saying He's a versatile God. All the ways that you need financial security, all the ways that you need emotional security, all the ways that you need mental balance, all the ways that you need social balance, all the ways that you need, whatever need it is, all the ways that you need your body to be healed, all the ways that you need your mind to be regulated, all the ways that you need to be made in your circumstances, all the ways that you need to be made in your relationships, all the ways that you need for your children to be blessed, all the ways that you need for your parents to be blessed, all the ways that you need your significant other or your spouse or your brothers and your sisters, all the ways that you need them to be made whole, all the ways are through Jesus. All of them are through Jesus. But recognize there are a multiplicity of ways that Jesus can do it. The song says Jesus can fix it. Now it doesn't say how He can fix it because there's all types of ways to do that. But all the ways are already in God, and they were in God yesterday, they're in God today, and they'll be in God for generations to come as long as Jesus cares. As long as He cares. God decided to feed the Israelites by raining manna from heaven. He decided to feed you today by opening up a pantry door, by giving you a job, by having family members take care of you. But He's still feeding you. So God met the need one way before. That doesn't mean He has to keep meeting the need that way. But know that He will meet your need. He will meet your need. Join me prayerfully back here next Saturday morning at 8 a.m. on both YouTube Live and on Facebook Live. You can subscribe on YouTube. You can share. If anything in the program whatsoever helps you, then go ahead and share it. Get a message that my connection is unstable. Okay. All right. Um, and continue to learn more about God. And then you will be learning more about life, and you will be learning more about you, and prayerfully, you will become better. God bless you. Also share, I was saying on Facebook, go ahead and share it. I don't really expect everybody to get up at 8 o'clock on a Saturday morning. For some people, it's 7. My sister, it's 7 o'clock in the morning. For some people, it's 6. For some people, it's much earlier because you're watching me from a different country. Long as you watch it, long as you learn life, become better. In Jesus' name, be blessed today.